What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a talk show set, only to realize the host isn't there to interview him? She's there to embarrass him in front of everyone watching. Before we dive into the video, please like and subscribe and comment. Now let's get back to the video. This wasn't a normal TV segment. It felt like a trap snapping shut in real time. The morning at the View Studios started like any other, on the outside at least. Robert De Niro arrived early, calm and professional, sitting quietly in the green room while the makeup team did their thing and his publicist went over the usual talking points. It was supposed to be simple. Show up, smile, mention the film, thank the hosts, and walk out clean. That's how these promo interviews work, when everyone is acting like adults. A few minutes later, De Niro was called to the set and walked onto the familiar stage as the audience erupted in applause. He waved politely, took his seat across from the panel and settled in like he'd done 1,000 times before. But then he noticed something that felt off. Joy Behar was at the far end with her notes, barely looking up, like she wasn't there to welcome a guest. She was there to prosecute one. "Welcome back to The View," Joy announced to the cameras, voice sharp and loaded with that edge longtime viewers recognized. "We're here with Academy Award winner Robert De Niro, who's got a new movie out that I'm sure someone somewhere is excited about." It hit like a backhand across the table. De Niro's eyebrows lifted slightly, and he shifted in his chair, caught off guard by the dismissive tone but refusing to show too much reaction. "Well, thank you for having me," he replied carefully, voice measured, controlled, and clearly trying to keep the temperature down. "Oh, don't thank us yet," Joy fired back with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Let's talk about this new film of yours." Then she went straight for the throat. "Another tough guy role, I'm assuming? Because it seems like you've been playing the same character for what, 40 years now?" The studio went weirdly quiet. Even the other hosts, Whoopi, Sarah, and the rest, exchanged those tight, uncomfortable looks that scream, "This is not the plan." De Niro leaned forward slightly, hands clasped, still trying to keep it professional. "Actually, Joy, if you watched the film, you'd know it's different from anything I've done recently. It's a character study about a man dealing with loss and redemption." "Oh, I see," Joy replied, shuffling her notes like she was performing for the cameras. "So it's a departure from your usual angry man shouting routine. How refreshing." Now the silence wasn't just awkward, it was heavy. You could practically feel tension hanging over the set like a storm cloud that refused to move. De Niro's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "I think you might be confusing me with some of the characters I've played, Joy. There's a range in my work if you look past the surface." "Range," Joy repeated with a short laugh that sounded more like a jab than a joke. "Robert, come on. You do one of two things in every movie. You either mumble so nobody can understand you, or you explode in rage. Sometimes both in the same scene." Whoopi tried to step in, sensing the wreck coming. "Joy, maybe we should—" No, let me finish," Joy snapped, cutting her off like she owned the whole table. Her eyes stayed locked on De Niro, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking," Joy continued, doubling down with that smug confidence. "You've been coasting on your reputation for years. When was the last time you actually challenged yourself as an actor?" De Niro's face flushed, the famous intensity rising up like a switch had been flipped. "Joy, I don't know what your problem is with me personally, but this is supposed to be about the film. Maybe we could discuss that instead of your personal opinions about my career." "My problem," Joy shot back, voice climbing. "My problem is actors like you come on this show expecting us to praise you just because you made a couple good movies decades ago. This isn't some fluff interview, Robert. We ask real questions here." The camera operators were locked in, catching every tiny shift in De Niro's expression. In the wings, his publicist looked like she was seconds away from panic, watching a routine promo turn into a public ambush. "Real questions," De Niro repeated slowly, voice dropping into that low, dangerous calm that made the room feel smaller. "You call personal attacks real questions? You haven't asked me a single thing about the movie, the director, the story we're trying to tell. You're more interested in cheap shots." Joy leaned back like she was enjoying the chaos she'd created. "Oh, please, don't act like you're above criticism. You're an actor, not a deity, even if people treat you like one." "This is unbelievable," Niro muttered, shaking his head, stunned by how fast it had gone off the rails. I've done interviews for 50 years, and I've never encountered anything like this. Well, maybe that's the problem, Joy fired back instantly. Maybe you're so used to soft questions that you can't handle a real conversation. Sarah tried to steer it back, voice careful and polite. Robert, tell us about working with your co-stars. But Joy wasn't done, not even close. Actually, Sarah, I'd like to know something else. Robert, do you think your reputation for being difficult to work with affects the performances of actors around you? Niro's eyes widened, like she'd just accused him of something on purpose. Because she did. Difficult to work with? Who told you that? Oh, come on. Joy waved it off like it was common knowledge, and she was the brave one for saying it out loud. Everyone in Hollywood knows the stories, the tantrums, the demands, the way you treat crew members when things don't go your way. That's completely false, Niro said, voice stronger now, no longer playing polite. You're repeating rumors and gossip. I've worked with the same people for decades because they know who I really am. Joy shuffled her cards again, ready with the next strike, like she'd rehearsed it. Really? Because I have it on good authority, you made an assistant cry just last week on set. The accusation hit the room like a bomb. Niro went still, staring at her for a long moment, his face cycling through disbelief, anger, and disgust, like he couldn't believe someone would say something that reckless on live TV. You have it on good authority, he repeated slowly. From who? What assistant? What exactly are you talking about? And right there, the whole interview shifted from tense to dangerous, because now it wasn't sarcasm anymore. It was a public character attack, with cameras rolling and no way to take it back. Joy cut in smoothly, almost smugly, saying she couldn't reveal her sources, that she had to protect people who were afraid to speak out. That line alone sent a visible wave of disbelief across Niro's face, because he knew exactly what was happening. This is character assassination, Niro said flatly, every word deliberate and controlled. You're making things up on live television. Whoopi finally tried to step in again, her tone urgent now. Joy, I really think we should move on. No, Whoopi, Niro said calmly, lifting his hand without taking his eyes off Joy. I want to hear this story. That caught Joy off guard for just a split second. She hadn't expected him to challenge her, head-on like that. If you're so confident, Niro continued, voice steady but firm, then share the details of this alleged incident. Let's hear exactly what you think happened. Joy's confident posture flickered. She shuffled her cards again, buying time. Well, I don't think it's appropriate to get into specifics on air. Of course you don't, Niro replied, leaning back slightly with a bitter smile. Because there are no specifics. There is no incident. There is no assistant. You're just throwing mud and hoping something sticks. The tension in the studio was now suffocating. Camera operators zoomed in tighter, producers whispered frantically off-screen, and nobody in that room believed this was going to end cleanly. Joy's face flushed red as she realized she'd been cornered, but instead of backing down, she doubled down harder. Just because I won't reveal my source doesn't mean it didn't happen. Maybe you're so used to people being afraid of you that you've forgotten how you actually behave. Afraid of me? Niro shot back, his voice sharpening like a blade. Joy, the only thing I'm afraid of right now is how low this show has sunk. This used to be a respectable program. Oh, spare me the lecture about respect, Joy snapped. Coming from someone who made a career glorifying violence and toxic masculinity, how many movies have you done where the solution is punching someone or pulling a trigger? Niro stared at her, stunned. Are you seriously criticizing me for playing characters? Do you understand what acting is? Should I hold you responsible for every reckless thing you've said on this show over the years? Now who's being disrespectful? Joy barked. You started this, Niro replied coldly. You invited me here under false pretenses, then spent the entire time trying to humiliate me. And yes, some of the things you've said today are incredibly stupid. The other hosts were now openly panicked, looking off-camera for help that wasn't coming fast enough. Whoopi tried once more. Maybe we should take a quick break. And no, Joy cut her off sharply. I'm not done, Robert. Then she pivoted again, reaching for something, anything, to keep control. Since you want to talk about respect, let's discuss your political comments. Don't you think it's hypocritical for someone who profits from violent movies to lecture people about civility? What does that even mean? Dairo snapped back. First I'm difficult, then I made someone cry, now I'm a hypocrite. What's next? I'm pointing out contradictions in your public persona, Joy said, clearly pleased with herself. You can't profit from violence and then act morally superior. Morally superior? Dairo laughed bitterly. You've spent 10 minutes trying to destroy my reputation with gossip and lies. Who's acting superior here? Joy's hands were shaking now as she shuffled her cards again, her composure visibly cracking. I'm asking questions journalists are afraid to ask. No, Dairo said firmly, you're conducting a hit job. There's a difference between journalism and whatever this is. Sarah tried again to save the segment. Robert, can we talk about your process? I'd love to, Dairo said, turning toward her with relief. But Joy doesn't want to talk about acting. She wants character assassination. Don't play the victim, Joy snapped. You've been in this business 50 years. If you can't handle tough questions, maybe don't do interviews. Tough questions. Dairo's voice rose for the first time. You call inventing stories about assistants crying tough questions. These aren't questions, they're attacks. Everything I said is fair game, Joy insisted. You're a public figure. My behavior? Dairo pushed up slightly from his chair, intensity flooding the room. My behavior right now is restrained. You accused me of cruelty, hypocrisy, and misconduct, without evidence. And now you're shocked I object. The audience sat frozen, watching a complete meltdown unfold live. At home, people were either reaching for the remote or leaning closer to the screen, unable to look away. This is my show, Joy declared defiantly. Your show? Dairo repeated in disbelief. Last I checked, it's called The View, not the Joy Behar show. And even if it were yours, that doesn't give you the right to ambush guests with lies. Joy's voice trembled with anger. I don't have to be lectured by you. And I don't have to be slandered, Dairo fired back. Yet here we are. Whoopi made one last attempt to calm things down. Let's just take a step back. No, Joy interrupted again, voice shaking now. I'm tired of being told to back down. Robert thinks he can intimidate me, but I'm not backing down. Intimidate you? Dairo asked calmly, almost sadly. I haven't raised my voice, threatened you, or crossed a line. How exactly am I intimidating you? The way you're looking at me, Joy shouted. You're trying to make me feel small. I'm defending myself, Dairo replied. If that makes you feel small, maybe you should ask why you made those accusations. Don't psychoanalyze me, Joy snapped. I don't need advice from someone who hasn't made a decent movie in 20 years. The words hit like a slap. Dairo went completely still, his expression turning cold and controlled. 20 years, he asked quietly. Have you actually seen my recent work, or are you just throwing out numbers? I know enough, Joy said, but her voice lacked confidence now. No, you don't, Dairo replied, deadly calm. You didn't research. You didn't watch. You came here with an agenda and made things up as you went. Joy tried to interrupt, but Dairo raised his hand. I'm talking now. You've had your turn. The studio was silent enough to hear the hum of equipment. Every person knew something irreversible was happening. You want to talk about intimidation? Dairo continued. This entire interview was an attempt to bully me. The difference is, I won't be bullied. Joy's face burned red as she whispered, I was doing my job. No, Dairo said firmly. Your job is to interview guests about their work, not assassinate their character. Personal vendetta, Joy cracked. Dairo studied her carefully. Then what is this? Because it feels personal. Joy opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time all day, she had no words. The silence stretched, heavy and uncomfortable, as the cameras kept rolling and millions watched a host unravel in real time. Joy finally spoke, but the confidence was gone, replaced by a shaky edge she couldn't hide anymore. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, eyes darting around the set as if looking for an exit that didn't exist. Dairo leaned forward slightly, his tone shifting from sharp to unsettlingly calm. Joy, this level of hostility doesn't come out of nowhere. Something about me set this off, and I think everyone here can see that. There's nothing personal, Joy insisted, though her hands were visibly trembling now. I just think celebrities need to be held accountable. Accountable for what? Niro pressed. You haven't named a single real action, a single real incident, just vague accusations and invented stories. Joy glanced toward her co-hosts for support, but no one stepped in. Whoopi's face said everything. This had gone far beyond anything she could defend. Stop protecting me, Joy snapped suddenly, her voice cracking. I can handle this. Can you? Niro asked quietly. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're having a personal crisis and taking it out on me. That line landed hard. Joy's face drained of color, then flushed again with anger and humiliation. How dare you say that? She shouted. You don't know anything about me. You're right, Niro replied evenly. But I know what I'm seeing, and this isn't journalism. This is someone lashing out on live television. I am not lashing out, Joy yelled. I am doing my job. No, Joy, Niro said, almost sadly now. You're embarrassing yourself, and everyone on this set. For the first time, Joy actually looked around. The camera operators weren't smirking anymore, they looked concerned. The producers in the wings looked panicked. Her co-hosts avoided her eyes entirely. Joy started, then stopped. Something like realization flickered across her face. Niro saw it and softened his tone. Joy, whatever is going on in your life, I'm not your enemy. I came here to promote a movie, not to tear you down. You think you're better than all of us, Joy snapped weakly. You think you're superior. No, Niro replied. I think I showed up to work and got blindsided by someone who's clearly struggling. The word struggling broke whatever composure she had left. You want to know my problem? Joy burst out, voice shaking. My problem is men like you get praised for doing the bare minimum while women fight for every ounce of respect. The studio froze. Niro blinked, stunned. Joy, what does that have to do with attacking me today? You've been coasting for decades, Joy shouted, tears now visible. Your last movies were garbage and people still worship you because of things you did 40 years ago. Even if you believe that, Niro replied carefully, that doesn't justify lying about me or trying to humiliate me. That's not what this was. Whoopi finally stepped in, firm now. This wasn't accountability. This was personal. Joy spun toward her. Don't you start too. We coddle men on this show all the time. Niro raised his hand again, stopping the spiral. Joy, inequality in this industry is a real issue. But what you did today wasn't activism. It was cruelty. Cruelty. Joy laughed bitterly through tears. Try being a woman in this business for 30 years. I don't doubt that's been hard, Niro said sincerely, but I'm not responsible for every injustice you've faced. The words hung heavy. Then Niro said the one thing no one expected. Joy, you owe the audience an apology, and honestly, you owe me one too. That snapped her back into reality. Joy looked around again, the full weight of the moment crashing down, cameras, crew, millions watching at home. She began, then stood up abruptly. I can't do this. Joy, wait, Whoopi called out, but it was too late. Joy walked off the set, microphone pack dangling, leaving chaos behind. Producers rushed in. The remaining hosts sat frozen. Niro stayed seated, stunned. Whoopi turned to the camera, professional instinct kicking in. We're going to take a quick break. When cameras stopped rolling, Niro quietly asked, Is she okay? Should someone check on her? After the break, Joy's chair was empty. The interview resumed, calm, respectful, but the damage was already done. Clips spread online within minutes. Some called it a long overdue confrontation. Others called it a total meltdown. But one thing was undeniable, this wasn't just bad TV. As Niro left the set, he thanked the remaining hosts for trying to keep things professional. But his expression said it all. This wasn't something you just shake off. And here's the part no one wants to talk about. Was this really about Robert Niro? Or was it about something Joy Behar had been holding in for years? Because when a seasoned host loses control this completely, live on air, it raises an uncomfortable question no one at the network has answered yet. Was this an ambush gone wrong, or a breakdown hiding in plain sight?